Joseph finds himself imprisoned for a crime he did not commit, yet he manages to maintain his spirits. The warden of the prison recognizes his potential and places him in charge of his fellow prisoners.
He seems to emerge from these events as a man who places his fate in the hand of God and who goes along with the events trusting that God will see him through.
Joseph learns that 2 of his fellow prisoners are bothered by disturbing nightmares.
They said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me them, I pray you. Genesis 40:8.
The Egyptians believed dreams to be communication from the gods. Understanding them is vital. Recalling the prophetic dreams of his youth, Joseph offers to act as an interpreter.
And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph. Behold, a vine was before me, and Pharaoh's cup was in my hand. I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup. Genesis 40:11.
If you had a dream and you were concerned to know its meaning and what the god or goddess was trying to say to you, you would probably make tracks first thing in the morning down to the temple, consult the priest and say, this is what I dreamt. Check out the papyrus, see what it means, what's going to happen.
Joseph predicts that in 3 days the butler will be restored to his job. If the prediction materializes, the butler promises to remember Joseph. Soon another prisoner, this time the Pharaoh's baker, also comes to him for an interpretation of a dream.
I had 3 white baskets on my head, with all manner of baked meats for the Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket. Genesis 40:17.
The baker is not as lucky as the butler. Joseph forecasts that in 3 days he will be hanged. Both predictions prove accurate, and the butler is released from jail, promising that he will tell the Pharaoh of Joseph's prophetic gifts. But 2 long years are to pass before the promise is fulfilled, years in which Joseph languishes in prison. Then one night, Pharaoh himself experiences a haunting dream.
He stood by the river, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored cows and fat-fleshed, and they fed in the meadow. And behold, 7 other cows came after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed cows did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat cows. So the Pharaoh awoke. Genesis 41:4.
Pharaoh dreams yet another dream, this time about 7 full ears of corn devoured by 7 lean ears. Deeply troubled by the dream's possible significance, he summons the court priests, but they cannot unravel the meaning of his nightmares. It is then that the butler recalls Joseph's abilities, and he tells Pharaoh. Without delay, Joseph is summoned before the Pharaoh to hear his dreams.
Dreams represent us at our most vulnerable state. Dreams can often represent a direct line into our sense of ourselves, our sense of failure, our sense of self-image. A dream interpreter, therefore, has the ability to see in an unprotected state the mind and soul of the emperor. So therefore the emperor has to be extremely careful who they're going to allow into their dream world, because that person must be very wise, they must be very circumspect, they must be trusted. But they also must not be a powerful person, because that person has some keys to you. They have some insight into how your soul works.
Realizing that the dreams represent an ominous forecast for the years to come, Joseph predicts that there will be 7 years of plenty in the land, followed by 7 years of famine. One of the earliest recorded texts on dream analysis explains that a bad dream is like a curse. It was the duty of the interpreter to not only decipher its meaning, but also to ward off its consequences. Joseph advises Pharaoh to appoint a minister over all Egypt to ensure that adequate stores of food are put away for the impending famine. Pharaoh is so impressed with Joseph that he entrusts him with the new ministerial role.
And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand, and put a gold chain about his neck. Genesis 41:42.
As the new viceroy, Joseph now sits at Pharaoh's side, an indispensable advisor in all affairs of state. As he had foreseen, Egypt enjoys 7 years of bountiful harvest. The Nile overflows its banks, and the wealth of the country is unparalleled in all the ancient world. Prosperous and secure, Joseph takes for himself an Egyptian wife who bears him 2 sons. After 7 years, the Nile suddenly begins to dry up. Crops do not grow, cattle die of thirst. But Joseph has prepared Egypt well. The granaries and storehouses are full, and food is distributed to the hungry. The drought is so extensive that citizens of neighboring lands are also suffering. They begin a mass migration to Egypt. And so it is that 10 of Joseph's brothers, struggling to survive in the land of Canaan, begin their own pilgrimage to Egypt.